Hi, I'm Chad, a postdoctoral researcher working on the bison project at Cedar Creek. We are introducing a new workflow to Eyes on the Wild to classify bison grazing behavior. In 2018, we released a herd of bison at the reserve to study the effects of bison grazing on oak savanna ecosystems. You can read more about the project at the links below. The new bison workflow is to help us estimate the rate at which bison eat plants, or consumption rate. Bison primarily eat grasses, the dominant understory plant species in oak savannas. Bison grazing can have large impacts on these ecosystems, such as changing the way plants interact with one another, the cycling of nutrients in the system, and even changing the temperature and intensity of fires that maintain oak savannas. We measure grazing directly using movable shelters in combination with the larger enclosures you see in the photos. These movable shelters help us measure how much the plants regrow after the bison graze. These measurements are very useful, but they're also very time intensive. It takes us approximately 750 person hours each year to clip, sort, and weigh all of the biomass so that we can estimate consumption rate. By classifying photos and answering questions about whether or not bison are grazing and how many bison are grazing, you can help us estimate grazing intensity. We can combine our physical measurements of consumption rate and the data from the classified images to correlate estimated grazing intensity with measured consumption rate using the movable shelters. This means we don't have to physically measure consumption rate each year, and then we can instead estimate it using the cameras. This will allow us to have extra time to work on other cool experiments each summer. It also means that it's possible in the future to add more cameras within the bison enclosure and get an even better estimate of grazing intensity in different parts of the savanna, or ask how grazing intensity changes through time. Thank you all for taking the time to classify photos. We can't wait to share what we find with you. Happy classifying!